Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as pre-season finally commences, we're going to do some power rankings for each third on the field. So we got defense, midfield, forward, and I'll put the rucks alongside the forwards as well, just for convenience sake. And we will do live power rankings throughout the year. So I'm thinking at the end of each month, we'll do the power rankings for each positional third that we just mentioned. But for now, we'll start with a baseline and give you what I think is Collingwood's best defensive rankings, midfield rankings, forward rankings, and ruck rankings, and use that as a reference point to kick off the season. So I'll be able to explain this more and more as I actually take you through this drill. So we'll start with the backline, okay? And we'll pop this up here. Let's go. There we go. All right, awesome. So defensive rankings, we have 14 defenders that I think meet the prerequisites to be considered a defender. If you think someone's missed out, let me know, but I'm trying to assign these roles to players who spent most of their time in the last couple of seasons in this sector of the field, okay? So the obvious one being number 14 in the rankings is Oleg Markov, recently delisted, going to be re-rookied. I think he's coming from a long way back. I just think there's too many younger defenders who will be able to play his role moving forward. When you look at Jath and Jacob Ryan as well, who are 13 and 12 respectively. Jath's probably still got another season in the VFL before I think he can have a serious, consistent impact at AFL level. I think Jacob Ryan is very close. He hasn't had much luck in the way of injuries, but I think this year could be a really big season for him in 2025. Won that 2K trial for between the first to fourth years, which is a good sign initially. Played in his debut year in 2023, drafted at the end of 2022. Unfortunately, had a concussion, so hopefully he can have some more luck on the field this season upcoming. Number 11, I have Billy Frampton. He's someone who's quite low in my rankings, but could still start being the starting six for Collingwood's defense come the beginning of the season. And that just comes down to the cattle we have available in our backline right now. So he's currently sits at 11 in the power rankings, but I love him to be much higher. Is it possible? I don't know. Given the sample size we have from his career, we know what we're going to get from Billy Frampton, and it is what it is for now. Moving into the next 5, we have Will Parker at number 10, another player that gives me more reason to have Markov so far back at 14. Played well against Melbourne, played a few games before that. The fact that he came in as a Category B rookie, hadn't played footy in 3-4 years, and he's playing AFL standard games already. And the fact that the coaching panel's backing him in off the back of that, it shows that there's a lot of potential with this guy and maybe isn't getting enough commentary around his name from us fans. I think to come from a long way back like that as a cricketer, as his primary goal, what was his primary goal for such a long time, he's got some potential there. So I'm really keen to see how he goes in season 2025. We have Harry Demeter at number 9. Now, he could transform into a winger. That's what he hopes to become, as is mentioned in that radio interview on SEN. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, another player who we drafted at the end of 2023. I'll just double check what draft pick he was. Was he a pick in the 20s? Let me check. At the end of 2023. So TJ was picked 37 and Harry Demeter was picked 25. So we want to see a little bit more from our 2023 draftees coming into 2025. And number 8, we have Charlie Dean, who is right behind Reef McInnes, because from what we've seen already in this very early preseason timeline, McInnes is going to be tried as a defender. I think McInnes and Charlie Dean are both suitable for the third key tall role in defense. That's why I said I think Billy Frampton will hold that second key spot. I just don't think there's anyone there to really rival him unless someone from the forward line comes in, but that doesn't look like it's happened yet or is going to happen. When I refer to players like Myercheck, if you want to throw in McStay, Membry, whoever's in the forward line, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think they're going to be competing against each other for that third key role. But the thing is, Jeremy Howe already does that so well. So now we're trying to, we tried to make Charlie Dean this second key tall last year. Didn't quite work. McInnes, what are we trying him as? Because he's in defense, but I think, yeah, he'll be more that third key tall defender, more than maybe fourth, like a Braden Maynard. I don't even know if they're suitable to play these lockdown roles. So I've got 8 for Dean and 7 for McInnes and number 6 for Quaynor. So you could argue, being number 6, he does make the starting backline, I suppose. Just looking for a bounce back here. We know what he's capable of. He's young. He would have learned a lot from 2024. I think we're going to get a positive response from Isaac Quaynor, I'm sure. I'm hopeful. To the final 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go. Brandon Maynard at number 5. Just everything that embodies what you want from a player who represents the black and white. Wears his heart on his sleeve, has white line fever, and impacts the game without indenting the stat sheets. And that just shows these intangibles, you can't measure them, and he is what he is. Number 4, I've got Perryman at the moment. He'll play backline. We'll see if he rolls into the midfield, what type of split that is. But I think he's our 4th most important player now. I think he's very accountable defensively and will be important for our slingshot plays moving, transitioning the ball forward. Jeremy Howe, I've actually got him as my 3rd most important player. I just think when he is playing well, which is most of the time, he's just so reliable. You know, when he goes up for an aerial contest, he's either going to win it or he's going to spoil it into the rosy. He's also very competent with the ball, and we trust him for a lot of the kick-ins, and we trust him to take difficult kicks. So I've got Howe at number 3. So very important despite his age and the 1-year contract I think he's on. Dan Houston, number 2. Obvious reasons, 2-time All-Australian. Sound like a broken record at this point, so maybe we'll move on quickly from that. But yeah, really important player. Going to play a great role for us offensively in the back line while also being able to intercept the ball. Number 1, even though he didn't have the best year last season, or didn't have the best season this year, I think Darcy Moore's ready for another bounce back, and he would have learnt a lot, much like all these players. When you come off a flag, there's just things psychologically that change. The hunt isn't there. It might not be admitted, but it's, if you understand sports psychology and if you've played it, you can probably understand that there is a level of complacency that can creep into your game, into your preseason, into your training habits that unfortunately ripple into the results you get on the field. And there were probably 2 or 3 periods throughout the season for the Pies where we were just really bad for an extended period. We just can't afford that if we want to make finals, especially with how close the competition is these days. We won 13, 14 games total. If you include the draws, the 2 points from each of those draws, that would get you into most final series in the past. This time, not so much. So we've got to win those games, and we just can't have too many bad periods. When we have a bad game, can we bounce back straight away? I felt like this season we had 2 or 3 bad games in a row, and it seemed the worst was inevitable. I want us to be able to bounce back after poor games and get back to that 2023 form. So that's my power rankings for the defense. As I mentioned, we will do this at the end of each month throughout the season. Let me know if you would personally rejig any of this. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. And yeah, let me know. Go Pies.